The rain had fallen all through the night in Lagos, leaving the streets damp and the smelling of wet earth. By morning, the city was alive again. Hawkers stood at street corners, calling out their wares with voices sharpened by years of competing noise. Downfall buses hummed impatiently, and the sweet tempting smell of fried plantain drifting from street corners. Amaka was among those drawn to that smell. At 28, she was a sales representative in a small fabric store on Lagos Island, a job she had fallen into rather than chosen. Every morning was the same. Wake up too late, pull on the first decent dress you could find, squeeze into traffic like a needle through stubborn clothes, and arrive just in time to open the shop. Breakfast, she's always buying out. Her favorite spot was Mama Shade's buka, just 2 streets from her store. The woman's smoky jollof rice, pepper soup, and fried meat were legendary. Customers claimed her food could wake the dead. Taxi drivers parked their vehicles just to grab a plate. Workers in crisp shirts and dusty laborers sat side by side at their benches, sweating over bowls of spicy food. And there was always that question no one could answer. What is Mama Shade's secret spice blend? People said she had a secret means that no one could replicate. Amaka didn't bother wondering. She just knew that on every given morning, the thought of Mama Shade's food was enough to make her stomach growl louder than that of the downfall horns. She never missed a day without stopping by. That Wednesday morning, the rain had left bottles shining like glass on the pavement. Amaka held her handbag close to her chest as she joined the queue at Mama Shade's buka. The sound of seasoning oil came from the back, and the warm smoky scent of jollof rice was already in the air. As she waited, she noticed the man standing apart from the customers, mid-40s, slim, wearing a shirt that had seen better days. His eyes were restless, not in the nervous way, but like someone who saw more than a late horn. He wasn't eating, wasn't even holding money, just watching. When it was her turn, Mama Shade beamed at her. Amaka baby, jollof and fried beef as usual. Yes, Mama, and hot dodo please. As Mama Shade scooped rice into a takeaway plate, the man shifted slightly. His gaze fixed on the food, then without a word, he turned and walked away. By mid-afternoon, Amaka was halfway through her meal at the shop when her colleague Ibola leaned over and wrinkled her nose. Amaka, you still dey chop from there? People dey talk oh. Amaka looked up from her fork. Talk about what? Bola lowered her voice, her eyes darting around. I don't know if it is true, but I hear say Mama Shade dey buy her meat cheap because e no come from the regular market. Amaka laughed, shaking her head. Abeg, Bola, gossip no go kill you one day. You think person who sells to this many people will risk her business? Still, the words stuck like a thorn in her thought. Later that evening, on her way home, she saw the strange man again, this time near the refuse dump behind Mama Shade's buka. He stood perfectly still, staring at something on the ground. When he noticed her, he slipped away quickly, his sandals barely making a sound. The next morning, curiosity got the better of her. As she passed the small electronics repair shop next to the buka, she asked one of the shop boys if he knew the man. Ah, that man. Then they call him Dr. Bayo. Used to work for council health department before he retired. He lives close by. A health officer. Amaka's stomach tightened. Why would someone like that be hanging around a food joint without eating? By Friday, the honeys had built a knot on her chest. It was 6:30 a.m. and the sky was still the dull grey of early morning. She had left home early to avoid traffic and reached Mama Shade Street before most of the shops opened. As she walked past the buka, she noticed a dim light inside. Mama Shade never opened before 8 a.m. Curious, Amaka slowed her steps. Through the half-open wooden door, she saw two men in dirty overalls lifting a large sack onto the counter. One of them untied it. The smell hit her before her eyes could focus. It was not the smell of raw meat from a butcher's store. This was heavier, rotting, as though death itself had been left in the sun for too long. She covered her mouth, fighting the urge to gag. Then she saw it, greyish meat, sleek with something dark, piled in the sack. Not red like fresh beef, not even the pale pink of chicken. Grey. Her mind tried to tell her it was just bad lighting. Maybe the meat had been frozen for too long. But then, she noticed the shape of one piece, the curve of it, the way it looked too human. Before he could move, a hand touched her shoulder. She spun around, heart pounding. It was the strange man, Dr. Bayo. "Don't scream," he said quietly. His voice was calm, but his eyes were sharp. "If you value your life, stop eating there." Her mouth felt dry. "What's inside?" "Not here," he replied. "Meet me at the small chemist across the road at noon." All morning, her hands shook as she folded fabrics for customers. She kept trying to convince herself that she had imagined it. Meat could look strange in dim light, right? But the smell. That smell was like nothing she had ever known. At noon, she slipped out of the shop and crossed to the chemist. Dr. Bayo was already there, seated in a corner like he had been waiting for hours. "I've been watching that woman for weeks," he began without preamble. "People are falling sick after eating there. Stomach cramps, vomiting, fever. But because her customer come from all over, no one could connect the dots." "What's in the sack?" Amaka asked, her voice barely above a whisper. He hesitated. "Where do you think she gets her meat? You think she buys fresh from the abattoir?" "No, she buys condemned meat, spoiled, sometimes from diseased animals. And I've seen her boys collect from other sources you don't want to know about." Her hands tightened around her bag. "Why haven't you reported her?" "I have," he said grimly. "But she pays the inspectors. Nobody wants to cross her. She has people." That evening, Amaka's fear clashed with stubbornness. She needed to know if the man was telling the truth, so she went back just before closing time, standing in the shadows behind the buka. Around 10 p.m., she saw them, two men dragging two large sacks from the back of a rusty pickup truck. They were laughing, speaking in Yoruba about how this one go last if we boil am well and put plenty pepper. Then the sack snapped on a nail. The tear was small but enough. A pale hand slipped out. Amaka's breath caught. She couldn't scream. Her voice felt trapped in her throat. The men saw the tear, shoved the hand back inside, and glared in her direction. She ran, barefoot, slippers abandoned somewhere behind her. The slap of her foot on the wet ground was the only sound she could hear above the pounding of her heart. That night she didn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw the pale hand, the fingers stiff, and the waxy skin. The next morning she found Dr. Bayo. "It's you, man, isn't it?" she demanded. He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice was low. "Sometimes, not always, but when greed rules, nothing is off limits. Accident victims, unclaimed body from the mortuary, they take from anywhere they can." She felt bile rise in her throat. "People eat this?" "They eat whatever pepper hides," he said. "People trust what smells good." From that day, Amaka never bought food outside again. She woke up early, cooked her own meals, carried them to work no matter the hassle. But the horror followed her. Every aroma on the street seemed poisoned. Every buka made her wonder. Dr. Bayo waited until he had enough proof before tipping off the police. A week later, they raided the buka. Sacks of meat in filthy buckets, maggots crawling over slabs, others smelling of rot. One sack made an inspector faint. Mama Shade was arrested, but days later, she was free. Within a month, another buka opened 2 streets away, run by her cousin. The same smoky smell drifted in the air. People still queued, bowls in hand. Bola teased her again. "They say the cousin is clean, oh. Let's go." Amaka shook her head. "Bola, once you've seen the other side of the pot, you can't unsee it." Months passed. Amaka and Dr. Bayo organized small seminars, teaching people food safety. Some listened, most laughed it off. But Amaka knew, until something happened to them, they will keep chasing the smell. She cooked at home now, no matter how tired she was. And whenever the aroma of the street food tempted her, she remembered the pale hand slipping from the sack and whispered to herself, "Not all that smells good is good for the body." This is a lesson for everyone. You need to understand that it is not everywhere you smell food that you should eat. Not every smiling food has clean hands, and not every full pot holds what it should. Sometimes, danger wears familiar face, and the price for ignoring the signs may be more than you can bear. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share what you've learned in the comment section, and subscribe for more soulful tales. Till next time, stay blessed.